Hello chums, and welcome to Setups for Simpletons. I've created an entire series dedicated to explaining Gran Turismo 7's quirky and sometimes unforgiving tuning system, but sometimes it's nice to just copy someone else's homework and be done with it. So in this series I will take one car at a time, show a complete setup, and a lap of the Nürburgring for good measure. Disclaimer, if you use my setup it does not mean you're a simpleton. Let's begin! We have seen this sort of thing before. 800 horsepower GT500 engine in a front-wheel drive that has absolutely no business dealing with this sort of power. Thing is, that was the garage RCR Civic, a featherweight car with an old architecture underneath. In Gran Turismo 7, newer cars typically fare better, so how will this brand new Civic handle the lunacy of the GT500 engine? For visuals, the car has the wide body fitted. The wheels are one size down from standard, which makes the car more smooth over curbs, but it can make the steering feel ever so slightly less direct when changing direction. The Super Civic has a front splitter for front downforce and a rear wing to keep it all stable. Both Type A and B rear wings provide the same level of downforce. The livery is based on the 1998 Raybrig NSX, entered into the Japanese Grand Touring Car Championship. As usual, you can find it by searching for Super Turismo. The setup is mostly similar to what I would do for most front-wheel drive cars. This is one of those few cars that, from my testing at least, benefits from having ballast weight added to the driven axle. Pushing over 800 horsepower through the front wheels results in a frightful amount of wheel spin, so adding 50 kilograms to the front helps. While it still feels like it's constantly melting the front tyres, it is actually faster, at least in my experience. This engine doesn't really have the greatest track record when it comes to engine swaps. The two NSXs have insane top speeds with this engine, but they're generally quite unstable and hard to control, plus the 1992 NSX has awful brakes. The BRZ drift car is a drift car, and the RCR Civic is absolutely unable to handle this engine at all. That leaves you with the Amuse S2000 GT1, which is, admittedly, a brilliant car, but that's about it. You'd think this Civic would be a terrible choice, but it actually works better than you might think. It's still completely insane, of course, but I think this combination makes as good a case for itself as the NSXs do. This Civic is a lot easier to drive than the 1992 NSX, and maybe even the newer 2002 NSX. Although potentially I would probably argue that the 2002 NSX is still a better choice for this engine if you can get the setup dialed in. This FL5 Civic is certainly less murdery though. I definitely wouldn't bother with the older FK8 Civic though. This is pretty much better in every way. I still like the GTO swapped Aventime more though. In the end, I managed a 6 minutes 23, so this Honda Civic has just beaten a 1000 horsepower Hellcat swapped Challenger, a 1000 horsepower R35 swapped 180SX, an 1100 horsepower LS swapped DeLorean, and a 1200 horsepower Demon swapped pickup truck. So it certainly could be worse. So that was my setup for the engine swapped FL5 Civic Type R. I hope it helped. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like, subscribe and kick me on the bell so that you get notified of future uploads. Take care of yourself, and ta-ra.